Peskies Pest Control. Put your birds on the run. Call 205-470-8161.
Hey, so today we wanted to talk about bats. It's getting really close to Halloween, so just wanted to talk about benefit of bats, not such a benefit of bats, the good, the bad, all that of bats. So Travis, elaborate for me.
I may have a very unpopular opinion about bats, to be really honest with you, because I think they're pretty cool. I think that creature's really cool. I mean, they're kind of creepy looking. I remember as a kid, we used to go out in our yard at night, right before dark, and you would look up and you'd see the bats flying around. But what a lot of people don't, think about or realize is that bats are a very beneficial creature, to the outdoor ecosystem, where you live, where the bats reside, mainly because they are one of the best consumers of insects. And they help keep insect populations down. So bats are, a very good thing to have around. However, of course, there's a drawback to them. You just don't want them inside your property. You don't want them inside your attic. You don't want them inside, your barn or outbuildings or wherever they may decide to, take up residence. So, Michael, what are some things that people typically first start to notice that may clue them into the possibility that they have a bat problem?
So the first one would be seeing the bats. We get a call saying they see bats flying in and out of their house. Or the best indicator for us is always going to be the guano, so the bat droppings. We'll typically get to a property, it'll be all over the siding of the house or the window ledge or the driveway, and that is 100% identification that you have bats. Bats droppings are interesting. The guano is interesting because it has little flakes of bugs in it, so you can actually see it kind of with a light. It kind of has a little shine to it.
Yeah, almost like the ones that I've seen almost look like the poop has glitter in it.
Yeah, like it's got glitter in it. So and it looks like kind of like a distorted mouse dropping. So a lot of people think that they have mice running around their house and they're just pooping everywhere because bats poop a lot. Because if you have a colony of upwards, 500 to 1,000, that's a lot of droppings.
It is.
So it's always funny because they're like, oh, I have mice around my house and they're just pooping everywhere. And no, it's bats. So.
Yeah, it reminds me of a customer that I had the same problem. So this customer has a 2-story house, and they have a big gable vent on the side of the house. And the customer had never addressed this problem to me. I was actually just on site at their house just to do a quarterly pest control service, just a standard service. And like you said, I looked down and I'm like, there's poop everywhere. And, of course, you look up and it's like directly below this gable vent. And then, with a gloved hand, I picked it up and looked at it and was like, this is bat poop. Like it does. But, how typical do you see that as far as, in an attic and in that kind of area? Is that kind of like the most common area that you see infested?
Yeah, so like you had stated, they're in barns, they're in houses. I mean, their typical place is going to be caves, dark areas in nature. But the second best place for them is going to be an attic, a barn. Perfect example of this image right here. You've got a gable vent that's wooden slat, it's wide open, and a bat can fit through that no problem. Doesn't take long. A lot of times we'll see, when we're doing bat jobs, we'll see the I call it, basically bat screen. The roofer, the contractor will put something called a bat screen. And it's just a little bit of mesh over the inside. And the problem is that they can roost right between the screen and the gable vent. And then once they hang out there, they're pooping. That poop is going to go right under that screen, right into the attic. And we definitely don't want the droppings in there because they can cause a lot of issues. One of the biggest thing is it's called histoplasmosis, and it's a pretty bad lung infection. So you have to be very careful when cleaning up bat droppings. And like we just stated, they poop a lot. When you've got 500 to 1,000, there are a lot of droppings. I have seen just mountains of droppings inside of an attic. So definitely something to be careful. You want to wear a respirator, definitely a respirator. You're not going to want any kind of a dust mask, or an N95 is just not going to cut it. You're going to need that respirator.
Yeah, and not even just dark places like caves and attics and things like that, outbuildings and whatnot. I've actually even seen and heard of some bats. Case in point, locally we have a baseball park that has a 2-story building and a concession stand, but over that first story, there's an awning that wraps all the way around the building. And, of course, with the baseball park, they display their banners and, who won what championship or who won state or what have you. And I've actually seen some bats try to kind of take up residence even against the building behind those banners on the side of the building. So, I mean, they don't always get it right. They don't always get it right. But from a pest control perspective, let's just say that, take case in point, take this picture. You come up to this house, you see this gable vent. There's droppings everywhere, below the gable vent on the ground or carport or wherever, driveway. What's the process? Kind of go through for the customer, what it is that we at Peskies do to get rid of the bats, because, you can't just go in and just kill them. A lot of customers just kill them. Well, you can't. So kind of go through what it is that we do to mitigate this problem for the customer in a humane and legal way.
Yeah, of course. Like you said, bats are protected, and of course they are beneficial. I mean, they're going to completely knock down the mosquito population, moth population, a lot of flying insects, and they are pollinators. I know a lot of people are very concerned with honeybees. There are multiple other pollinators besides honeybees, and bats are one of them. They actually, when they carry fruit seeds, they drop that, and that continues that pollination. So here at Peskies Pest Control, we're going to do a full inspection. Once we find either the droppings in the driveway or on the side of the house, and we do find that you do have bats, we're going to get in the attic, find out how big the colony is, if it's a huge problem, if it's a small problem, and then we're going to seal up all of the home except for where they're actually gaining entry, where we know they're gaining entry. So we're going to go throughout the house, look for any cracks, crevices around the house that they could be getting into, leave that other entryway open. We're going to seal up and leave a small hole in order for those bats to be able to leave. So once the bats can leave, it's called a bat valve. So, or sometimes you have to use a screen. It just depends on the situation. But with the bat valve, let's say they're going to they're going to crawl through that bat valve. They're going to leave, and then once they leave, they cannot enter back in that bat valve. Bats have to land on something and crawl up into a crack or crevice. They can't fly, so the bat valve hangs off the house in just the space, so they can't fly, land in the bat valve, and crawl back through the hole. It's not possible for them. After about a week or two, we inspect the house again, making sure we're not seeing any more signs of bats. No live bats are left inside the house, and then we fully close up that one area, and then you will be bat free. And then you have the option of us coming in and disinfecting, cleaning out the bat droppings, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, definitely recommend getting rid of the problem before it gets worse, before the population gets larger, before their mounds of waste get larger and larger too. Just a health hazard that you don't want. Definitely a very beneficial creature. But you just don't want them living inside areas of your house or your outbuildings. Or they definitely belong in nature. They have their place. They have their own job, and they do a great job at it. However, you just don't want them living in your home. Yeah,
and I'll say too that another scary thing about bats is they can carry rabies. So that's a pretty big problem around here. I actually just found out last week that they're dropping off rabies blocks in Hoover, Birmingham. I don't know if they're doing that in Montgomery or not, but found 3 in my yard that my dogs were chewing on out of helicopters. They're just dropping it because we have such a bad rabies issue right now with raccoons and all that. And I'll say too, and just I know we've preached this in our other podcast and vlogs and stuff like that. Sealing up your house is so important, and if you do it beforehand, a little bit of mesh around the gable vent on the outside is going to stop that bat problem. It's going to stop that squirrel problem. A raccoon, anything. it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money with something that's very quick and easy to do.
Google Peskies Pest Control. Put your